All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dowell. I'm again coming back on here reporting to you my findings, what I believe to be true after reconning a couple of news sources about this whole Ferguson situation and why we have an eroding and a very great situation, a dire situation in this country as we watch civilization deteriorate all around us. There's a lot of things that the people out there that simply you just do not know. And I suppose that one of my greatest crimes would be in this particular generation would be literally just existing. Because when I speak, I allow people to be able to view things from a different perspective and viewpoint. Which, when we live in a type of society where tyranny is running rampant and treason, the word doesn't even scare people anymore. And extortion is just a way of life. I tell you, it's utterly remarkable and amazing. See, I know that the majority of the American populace does not understand the system, neither do they understand the law and the way things are running. They do understand that there's no justice in this land. They just do not know how to articulate it. And as a pastor, since we live in this country, it's my job to tell you the truth. And I'm going to tell you right now the main reason why that I get on here and I speak about these situations and these circumstances. Because I know that the truth is being hidden from you. I know it's being hidden from you. But not only that, hopefully that it will put a defibrillator on your mind, shock you into doing something that the majority of us don't do anymore in this country. We just simply do not do, which is think and make rational choices and decisions, and instead of just going on impulse, feelings, and emotions. Now, I told you, if you go back in my videos, go back way before everybody's so-called sitting on the edge of their seat about this Darren Wilson, this police officer in Ferguson that shot Michael Brown. I told you that he wasn't going to get indicted, and the reason why I knew that he wasn't going to get indicted because the system is flawed. It's literally a circus. It's a dog and pony show. And the media in this country today, especially the mainstream news media, they're not representing the people, and neither do they care about reporting the truth. These people have been bought out by special interest groups, corporations, and lobbyists, the same way that our Congress has been bought out. And there's just a few small ruling people that they call the elite that is literally taking advantage and raping the whole entire country. And people in this country who go out and get these education and stuff, who go out and do all these things, this is what they have in their mind. Listen to me very closely. They have in their mind, there's a 1% of the people in this country that's ruling and dominating this country as well as the world. And if I am going to get ahead in this world, then I need to do whatever I can to join forces with them so I can get myself. It don't have to be a big slice, but just a little slice of the pie. Well, that leaves 99% of the populace, which just happen to be the ones that are laboring, getting it done with their hands and their minds and their backs. That leaves us with a very unjust system. All right, a very unjust system, and the people need to understand. They need a voice. They don't need Jesse Jacksons and Al Sharptons and all these collaborators and pacifiers to pacify us. Legislation is not going to work. It never has worked. It never will work. Look, just go ahead and swallow the fact that America is finished and done for, and we are at the end of the decline. And the way you can tell we're at the end of the decline is look at the monetary system. Just look at our monetary system. It's pretty bad news that the only way that we can keep this system afloat, because our Congress has no stomach to balance the budget because they can't. They can't. They're too far in debt. And it's amazing how that the only way we can keep this system afloat is just continue to create more money out of thin air. And how that they deceive the world to get us off of a gold standard, to put us on a fiat currency standard is beyond me. But they've done it. They successfully negotiated, and they have deceived every country in the world. I guess because every country in the world decided, you know what, this is a pretty good deal for those of us who run government, those of us who are in government. Because after all, we get to enrich ourselves, our families, and the generations coming after us. And then the rest of the people, the serfs, the peasants, they get to just work their fingers to the bone for us in order to make our families and our lives better. And we will give them entertainment. The NFL, the NBA, National Baseball, the Baseball League, soccer, hockey. All we have to do is and make them think that they belong. Just tell them, say, this is your team and stuff. And it's just utterly amazing. And you have no stock in it whatsoever at all. And so, knowing the history of Rome, and when we look at the sexual immorality that is literally going on in this country, it utterly is appalling to me how that anyone think that they have positioned themselves to be any type of a righteous judge in this country or over the right biblical lifestyle of what the Bible calls a family. It's just utterly amazing to me. But let me get to this Ferguson situation. I thought I did a good job there outlining going forward. Now, I knew that they was going to return a no indictment charge, or if you can't even call it a charge, just no indictment against Darren Wilson, because the history of this country is a police officer has a 99.9% chance of not ever getting indicted, even if he shoots and kills someone innocent, shoot and kill someone on the side of the road, or just shoot and kill someone just in general. We got teenagers, 12 years old, 13 years old, 13. We got little boys, 12 years old. Old women, old men dying left and right because of this police state that we all find ourselves in. And the people, like I said before, they're literally getting tired. But we, the people, we stand every single chance. And every single time that we step off into that court system, or we even get in the back of that police car, you better believe if a police officer is standing there in front of the judge and says you are guilty and you say you're not guilty, you will not get a fair trial. You will not get fair judgment. Matter of fact, they would treat you as guilty. And we, the people, stand a 99% chance of being indicted. And the reason is because the system is totally against us. And most of you, it's sad to say, you're not going to understand how bad the system is against you until you have this terrible experience happen to you in your own backyard. I see a lot of people making a lot of judgments today, and I'm making judgments, but I'm making judgments on facts, not assumptions, on facts. Yesterday I was out with a neighbor up the road up here as a truck driver. He's been living here on this land, on this particular road, just about as long as we have. We've both been here 17 years, and we're both the same age, 48 years old. And he's a truck driver. He drives trucks for a living, doing very well. And he's a neighbor of ours, and we're a neighbor of his, and we do for each other all over the place, left and right. So he was showing me, he was taking me to Kentucky yesterday to show me a place to buy metal. And to get metal a whole lot cheaper than wood around these surrounding areas right here, because these people who actually buy the metal in these surrounding areas, they actually get it from the place that we were going to. And then they charge these exorbitant amount of prices. So, knowing that the economy is bad, we're trying to do everything we can, to get the best deal. And that means that we have to, wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, meet at 5 o'clock, and then drive a couple hours away just in order to get a good deal. Now, it costs time, effort, gas. Sure it does. But we had a good opportunity to spend some time around each other, and, a couple hours going there, a couple hours back. It gets, you get to know the mind of each other. And I'm listening to him, and he is fully aware of the racism that goes on not only in his town, just by people speaking to him. He just simply don't play the game of racism. And he says, well, and he never comes right out with it because he doesn't want to offend me. He doesn't know what kind of skin. He doesn't know I have thick skin, and that I believe in speaking straight without innuendos. I don't believe in going around the curves and the corners and stuff like that. I believe in straight talk. And any time that something come up in reference to, the way that people treat me around here or what they have to say about me around here, about the color of my skin, he'll say, and you know why, and he'll leave it at that. And I said, let me ask you a question, Rick. Have you ever heard of the transatlantic slave trade? He said, yes. And I said, well, let me add a little bit more to it. I said, now, this is my perspective, and I would like an answer. This is my perspective of the truth and facts I understand about history. We live in a country where the Europeans of this country, we all came over on ships, but my people came over at the bottom of the ship. And we were stolen from our land. And we were killed, we were raped, we were robbed, we were pillaged. Our babies was used for gator bait in Florida. They literally just beat our men to death and killed a lot of them. Our women were raped by the slave master and created a lot of mulattoes. That's what the designation that they call them. And yet and still, we have all these organizations and we have no power at that time to do any resistance, and we're still only 10% of the population today. How is it that my people can be taken from their homeland and brought over here, and yet we are responsible for all the crime when we don't control the government? The Constitution says that we are 3/5 human, the black people in this country. And we have had no influence on no laws, yet we have the Ku Klux Klan against us, we have the government against us, and then we have slave masters that just beat us with impunity. And I mean, I don't understand this type of hatred. What did we do to them to deserve all this? I mean, how is it that every time something that goes wrong in this country is the black man's fault and the trouble and the problem, he's the menace to society, when the government is actually controlled by white people? I mean, our government is the one who's taking these C-130s and flying in drugs and poppy plants and everything else and getting along with the drug cartels and all this stuff. Yet and still, we're only 10% of the population. We occupy 70% of the prison population. And because of the color of my skin, these people who have done injustices against us and perpetuated injustice against us, how they give themselves a pass and how do they function with a clear conscience? And how do we constantly have disparaging comments against us? And how we still have this undertone of racism today. And yet when we look at the mainstream news media, we're still blamed. And so with the little resources that we have, in order to try to make our voices to be heard and to fight back, how is it that we're responsible for all this hell that's going on when we really truly are not in control? There's no way you can take 10% of the people in this country that can be responsible for 90% of the crime when they are shipping the drugs into our communities and stuff. The schooling is definitely, we've had the racism promoted against us. We've had to endure Jim Crow laws. I don't understand it. I say, can you please explain to me how that is? The way I see it, if anything, my people should rise up. I said, could you please explain it to me? There was silence. And after a moment of silence, he looked at me and he says, I understand. And he left it at that. And we went on and talked about something else. And, this is just what it is. This is what it is in this country. They have fleeced the minds of the people in this country right here. They have toyed with your conscience. I'm not the institution that has reared you in lies, that have caused you to believe in a false religious system. I'm not the institution, Pastor Dowell, that preaches and teaches and lies to you about social, political, economic, and the religious front of this country. I'm not the one. I'm the one that's actually telling you the truth. It still doesn't stop people from bringing out what's in their heart, especially here on YouTube and the social media networks. I'm trying to do whatever I can to wake people up. Most people consider me a very intelligent man. And I appreciate that. But you ask me, I'm just a common man trying to do whatever I can to affect as many as I can, because I believe that I'm right. And I believe that my voice should be heard. And I think that you should have the option to hear it rather than just one side of the story. Let's go to this Ferguson situation. It has been bought out in Mexico that in these academies and stuff, these police academies, it's obvious when you look at action, when you look at function. It's very obvious that the police all across this country, from one end of the country to the next, have a shoot first attitude. Today, if you ever get pulled over for a routine traffic stop, the chances of you meeting the edge of a gun barrel at some nervous, fearful police officer is very great. Very great. I told you what happened up here. You can be a state trooper up here, and a man gets out of his car and he flees. He starts running. He starts running towards the wood line, and you can literally shoot and kill him, get paid leave, get back on the police force until you retire, and then run for sheriff in this county. And nothing is hardly said about anyone. It's just, and mind you, this was a white on white crime. And I totally disagree with it because, I mean, does it really truly warrant to take a man's life that is fleeing for something that may have happened? He probably been going 15, 20 miles an hour over the speed limit on the road. I mean, where is the intelligence? Where's the professionalism in all this? So hell no, I don't agree with the way that they're manipulating the minds of the people in this country. And they do it by the federal school curriculum. I call it the literal dumbing down of America, or the public fool system. But they have a doctrine in this country, and I've always asked the question, and now we have confirmed evidence. You know, over there on InfoWars with Alex Jones, the Alex Jones channel, his reporters brought it out, and they have documented proof that they're teaching the young officers in these police academies a shoot first attitude. And they've had an actual a guy that actually controlled the academy, who actually was an instructor at the academy. He quit because he said, I'm not going to be a part of this. And now we have people dying on the streets left and right. It's just a sad, sad thing. And now we're headed towards, or let's say we're already here, to where now we're having secret tribunals. Now understand this about this so-called justice system. The prosecutor is there to prosecute. And this prosecutor in this particular case with this Michael Brown and Darren Wilson did not in the least bit, any way, shape, fashion, or form, seek to do his job to prosecute. As a matter of fact, did you all know that a prosecutor does not have to have the approval of a grand jury in order to prosecute? Did you know that? Did you know that? And most of you didn't know that, because it's the first time you've seen it and you're making judgments off of impulse. And to try to understand these laws in this country right here, you finish. You're literally finished trying to understand the laws in this country right here, literally, because they're too diverse, too complex, and it comes from a nature of confusion. It's just impossible to do. But the prosecutor did not seek to prosecute or to do his job. And it's already proven that these grand juries have literally information funneled to them to have an expected end in these cases right here. And here's an example right here. And this is coming from the actual factual evidence on Infowars.com, where they came up with. In Harrison County, Texas, this is what you people need to know. The grand jury has only returned just one indictment out of 81 cases from 2008 to to 2012. You see, the system is broke. It's literally broke. And I don't understand why all of a sudden, if the prosecutor is seeking to prosecute, why in this particular case he sought to defend. It just literally don't make no sense to me. It does not make any sense. It's literally nonsensical. And to try to understand the laws in this country, you will literally lose your mind because they just don't make sense. And I'll say it again. We have an iron fist against us as the people in this country, while those that are in government, those who's supposed to be representing us, and you all know that we have literally no representation. We have figureheads, pundits up there. And I say it again, like Jesse Ventura said, I think that all politicians should have stickers, should have patches on their suits to show who they represent so we'll know the reason why that they make certain judgments and laws the way that they do. Because I'm telling you, they are not for our interest. The little measly amount of money that they get from so-called representing us from our states, from their respective states, as opposed to what the lobbyists, as opposed to what the corporations and all these other people that are secretly lining their pockets, who you think they're going to represent? They're not going to represent we the people. They're going to represent those people up there. And I tell you, it's a sad situation. Now, I did not say any way, shape, fashion, or form that the people in this country are always innocent. We know that to not be the case as well, but there's supposed to be a level of professionalism. You know, when I was in the military, and I was in the military from 1985 to 1994, to the end of 94, almost 95. A few days short of 95. And I was a paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne Division. I was in Op 4. I spent a few years in Germany. So I pretty much have seen a lot of the world. But, you know, rules of engagement, standard rules of engagement for us was you do not fire at anyone until you are first fired upon. And, of course, you and I, we will sit there and think, what kind of stupid, idiotic doctrine is that? Well, you have to understand the system. You have to understand the world. You have to understand the way the world processes thought. You know, a lot of these people that you see over there in these countries that literally use, weaponry, AK-47s and stuff, the different groups that are fighting for themselves, the Afghans, the Arabs, and all these people that are fighting for their sovereignty. They don't have the training that we have. They do not actually spend time going out and zeroing weapons. They fire targets and stuff. Very few of them do. And so the chances of them hitting you, I didn't say a bullet has eyes and it can't seek you out and shoot you and all. And you point and shoot and your chance are, it's obvious that a lot of people die. But they do not have nowhere near the training that we have. And of course, if we fire upon someone, especially if you are in what you call a special skill in the military, chances are you're going to kill them. You're going to return fire and kill them. And it's not to say it's an unfair fight, because if you get fired upon, no doubt you need to fire back. But, what are we going to do? What are we going to do about this doctrine in this country that has flew up under the radar? We know something's wrong. Now we know the reason why. And I've told us that they're teaching something in these academies. Just go back and look at the history of my videos. They're teaching something in these academies that are calling these police officers. They're causing these police officers to shoot and kill people, to tase people, to choke people out of life on the streets. And what's amazing to me is how paralyzed that we are as a people. We're more scared and afraid of the system than we are doing right. I'm telling you right now, I don't give a damn if it's one or two police officers. I will not stand by on the side of the road and watch two police officers beat the hell out of a female. Me. And I hope I pray to y'all that I never have to run up on a situation like that, because I think it's wrong, and I know it's wrong. But the only problem is that no doubt I will be arrested. No doubt. And no doubt by the time they get finished twisting the information, distorting the information, I will look like the worst criminal in the world. And no doubt I'll probably go to prison and get the death penalty. No doubt about it. because they control the amount of information that will get to you, the jurors, and the people. And the people today, I'm telling you, when we eat genetically modified foods, it's going to modify your mind. When we have chemical trails flying all across the sky up here in order to, again, affect our mind. We have vaccines that causing autism on an unprecedented level, shooting mercury in your head and your brains and stuff, and it's amazing. The Amish and the Mennonites, they don't get vaccinations, and there's not one reported case of their children having autism. So we need to ask ourselves a question. Do you really truly want to vaccinate your child? And then we have pesticides, herbicides, high fructose corn syrup. Not only is this food destroying us, it's destroying our vehicles, a mechanical thing. I mean, you got 10% ethanol in your gas tank, and your vehicle cannot even function right because of the additives that is put in it. And now it's destroying us, and it's making us sick as a populace in this country. And the rich are faring well. They just literally are faring well. And, it's a very sad situation that's going on in this country. Somebody has to be a voice of the people to get them to understand and wake up. And it's the same thing with the monetary system. Austerity measures against us while these people enrich themselves and they continue to keep prospering. And we have to endure and have to make do with what was given to us based on what they choose to give us. This sternness and this severity and the manner of the attitude of this government against us as the people, I'm telling you, clearly, in function from what I see and discern, we, the American people, are enemies. So when you hear George Bush, Barack Hussein Obama, these presidents of this corporation called the United States of America, when you hear them get up and talk about that, we are fighting terrorism. In case you hadn't figured it out, the terrorism is against us here on this land. The laws are against us here on this land. And they have made a divide. It's the government against the people. It's the same thing as old. If you really truly want to understand what's going on, go back and watch the movie Braveheart, and you'll understand what Mel Gibson and the message he was trying to get over to us at that time. Go and watch the movie The Patriot by Mel Gibson. These are old movies right here, almost 20 years old. Go look at them, and you will see what he is trying to get over to us. I'm probably one of the few pastors in this country. I'm going to show you what I have on my desk. I have this on my desk, the Constitution of the United States of America, which I know is nothing more than toilet paper in this country. It's just literally toilet paper. It's a dead document. And I have the Declaration of Independence. That sit right here on my desk all the time. I also have the Apocrypha, and I have the Holy Bible that constantly sits right here on my desk. And now, of course, I submit first to the Bible over any of the laws. And the laws of the land don't mean a damn thing to me compared to what the Bible says. But it is amazing how that this system is enriching themselves. And we ourselves are saddled with the debt. The government gets to run up credit, get to print money out there and there. I have not seen one banker head spin with all the crimes that are being committed right now. Commodities are being slammed left and right. I can only do, because this is the only outlet I have, I can only do all I can do to try to enforce or at least get information out to the people. I know the masses of the people. I already know that 98% of the people in this country will not hear a pastor like me. I already know that. But if you hear somebody make a slander against me without even checking out my character, without even knowing me, you automatically take their side because that's the way you're wired. If somebody accuses me of something, you automatically are wired to take their side simply because why? Because I'm a figure, a public figure that is out front They're screaming and hollering, and I'm trying my best to inform the people. I mean, look what happened to all of Yahweh's holy prophets: Moses, Jeremiah, Isaiah, Ezekiel. Look at all the prophets. What did Israel do when the prophets stood up to tell them right according to Yahweh's law? You know what they did? They killed them. They wanted them killed. And if it wasn't, it's just a sad situation. They wanted them killed. And if it wasn't for them wanting them killed, there was people in the system. Look at Mordecai. They wanted them killed. So I understand that we're up against the same. I'm not trying to wake up the masses of the people. I really, truly, I want you to understand that. Only those who have the ears to hear. And if you listen to me, at least you will have directions in how to get free. And maybe you'll be able to live to fight another day. But if you continue to keep submitting to this system right here, you're in trouble. You're in very, very serious trouble because they have no solutions for you. All they have is austerity for you. All they have is oppression, depression, and oppression for you. That's all they have. That's all they have for you. They have no solution. You're finished. You're done for. And you have to wake up out of sleep. You really, truly have. And stop taking all these placebos. And that's why I continue to keep speaking. And I don't like what's going on in this country. And I report what's going on in this country, the injustices and stuff, because if you can discern and hear that I have the spirit of truth, then maybe you'll have an opportunity to hear me and help me to continue to reach more people, because my underlying motive in everything I do is to get people back in a right relationship with the creator universe. That's my underlying motive in everything. I don't care if I'm speaking on social, political, economics, or religious, whatever you want to call it. That is my motive in everything, because I know the answer is returning back to the real king, the one who created all of us. And that's just all it is too. And that's the truth, and that's the true straight way. But it's amazing when up in Ferguson, you had the National Guard deployed there, thousands of them, and they were all protecting Fox News, CNN, all the mainstream news media. It's just utterly amazing what's going on. We have secret tribunals in this country. We have terrorism and treason that is going on in this country. We have oligarchies and plutocracies that are literally ruling this country, that stand behind the curtain, like in The Wizard of Oz. And all that we get for it, after being indoctrinated in these public food institutions, is debt. That's all we get. We have to go to their institutions, pay an exorbitant amount of fee in order to function in their world so they can create good workers. You just shut up and work. Shut up and work. Shut up and work. Shut up and work. And if you go get their education, chances are you'll be in a supervisory capacity, and then you help oppress the workers even more so. It's just utterly amazing. The environment in our country, we're finished. I'm telling you, America's done for. America's not going to last. Empires come and empires go. And this empire's had a run. And it's just about over.